I would like to mention before I even get into all this that if you are sensitive to the topics of abuse, grooming, or sexualization anyway, I'd suggest clicking off or skipping around maybe, since those are the main three topics of this video. So, just in case, if you don't want to see that, then I'd suggest not watching this. Hey, so this isn't going to be like my usual content, but I kind of felt compelled to at least talk about it and bring it to some people's attention, considering I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about it, despite how, strange it is. So please bear with me if I do stutter or ramble at all. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I doubt Deltarune needs any introduction. It's a very popular game made by Toby Fox, mainly known as the creator of Undertale, and has a interesting community to say the least. From people fighting over theories to people debating each other over what is and isn't happening in the game. Typically, everyone is at each other's throats over very minuscule topics. You may be wondering where Des comes into all of this, as she is a character who hasn't shown up at all besides faint references to her in dialogue and her silhouette during Tenno's memories in Chapter 3. But that's the exact reason she's so widely talked about. Des is a very important character, as I personally believe she is literally the driving force for a majority of Deltarune's story. She's missing and has most likely gone into hiding of some sort, as Mew Mew's egg dialogue suggests. This isn't a speculation video though, and I would more like to focus on what the community is doing with Des's character by portraying her in very insane ways. I should preface before I start, do not harass anybody who talks about these subjects and don't start fights over these things. That only really does more harm than good, and nobody wants that. But without further ado, let's get into this. I want to start this by saying I by no means think Des is perfect. No one in the Deltarune universe is perfect at all. Everyone has flaws and it's very clearly shown in a lot of their characters and how they act. That's also because literally no one is perfect, even in real life. I do think, however, it's insane that people call her these things with no real indication that she did what she did. A lot of people tend to use that one dialogue of Chris looking at the baseball bat in Des's room in Chapter 4, since it mentions that it makes your head hurt looking at it. Now, I can get where these people are coming from, because I do believe that Des probably did tap Chris a few times on the head for messing with Noelle, as she probably was a bit of a protective older sister. But by no means do I believe that Des was beating Chris till they bled out. I don't really understand where this came from or where this thought process even remotely comes from. And it's very strange that it's such a big talking point as of recent. I feel a lot of people tend to ignore the first part of the dialogue, though, where it talks about the rollerblades, or roller skates. If you know anything about roller skating, you know that you can and will bust your butt a lot on them. Especially when you're younger, which seems to be the time frame when these types of things were happening for all parties involved. I do think it's very possible that Chris might have been taught by Des how to ride these roller skates, and Chris fell over and hit their head a lot. Though, I have seen people mention that, I don't know, Des was on these riding around chasing Chris with the baseball bat. Which, can you take a second to realize how insane that sounds? That's honestly just comically evil, and it's very strange. I don't know why that was even a tweet that I saw. Because why? What could Des have possibly gained from doing that to Chris? Why would Chris and Noelle prefer these times for nothing but pain and injury? It's a very weird and confusing topic, and I personally don't get it at all. And there's a lot of inconsistencies that I see from it. But with that being said, let's move on to the next one, which is honestly probably even worse, since it is kind of just treated as a joke. But let's go ahead and move on. I don't really know how to even start this off. This theory is generally just kinda insane. I don't think there's any proof behind it at all, and this more or less spawned as a joke within the community. It originally seemed to have started from some Twitter reply where someone stole someone's desk design and put it over this like weird thumbnail. It was like some thumbnail of like, oh, mom found the yaoi or whatever the hell it was. But people edited it to say that Des was hiding some very disturbing things, or their mom found some very disturbing things, and that honestly started this whole thing. And it's kind of insane how much this has spiraled out of control. This entire thing basically tries to insinuate that Des groomed Chris in some fashion. I think we can all agree that this just isn't funny. It's Twitter humor, I know, but that doesn't stop it from being gross, and it also downplays real victims of grooming to a simple little joke. This theory also just, it makes no sense for a story, especially Deltarune's story. A teenager doesn't have to be put through that just so they can be mentally ill. Considering Chris has a crappy life, they have divorced parents, a mother who's trying her best, a dad who's too stuck up on getting to the bottom of presumably Des's disappearance, they're missing their brother, and just a lot of other factors that a lot of teenagers tend to struggle with. I don't see how Des doing this to them would even hold any weight outside of everything. It just doesn't work, because I doubt Toby would try to tie that into the overarching story in any way. I'm not really informed on where this theory technically spawned from, though like I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty certain it started because of that one Twitter reply, and it kind of just went down from there, and now it's just a massive joke in the community, where people are just stealing people's desk designs and putting it over some gross topic or something like that. This entire theory is just dumb, and it's just gross. It really does not hold any merits, and people get really pissy with you, and will basically say that you don't handle real, like, bad situations, that the Deltarune community just can't handle stuff like that. And I don't know. It's just stupid. I don't really feel like there's any point to this theory. But with that being said, we can now move on to our next topic. I'm sorry that this one was quite bad, but I don't know. This community is just weird. Before we start on the next topic, I would just like it to be known that grooming is a very serious thing. It's something that happens in real life all the time, especially to minors. I do realize that I could have come off a little bit aggressive there, but I do believe that grooming can work in a story and can give people the view they deserve, because I know there are victims out there who aren't really seen a lot, but that's if it's told in a good way. If it's not properly told, it can come off insensitive and just frankly weird, which is kind of how this theory functions, as it kind of just came out of nowhere and was just more or less used as a joke for people to poke fun at, which again is frankly disgusting, but what do you expect from Twitter at this point? I just want it to be known that, yeah, you can use it for storytelling, but you have to go about it properly, and it's just with this, it's just not told properly, and there's no reason behind it. There's exactly like zero references to it in game, and people kind of just took it out of the right field. So yeah, I personally don't think it belongs specifically in Deltarune. Now, for a character that hasn't shown up yet, you'd expect people to want to wait till their design was ever revealed before they started doing weird stuff. But this is a woman we're talking about. People will get very parasocial for literally no reason and do weird stuff just on the fact she's a woman. Des has always been presumed to be some sexed up, tomboyish goth girl who hates everyone and everything, and that she's Azriel's love interest, blah blah blah. And while I do believe she was definitely a bit rough, I don't think she's as insane as some of you may think. I mainly bring this up because, as of a more recent topic around her character, there was a certain Death Knight art that went around on Twitter, which you may or may not have seen. But to put it simply, it was literally just the Roaring Knight with her butt out. That's literally just it. While the armor itself was sick, there was just no reason to even remotely have her with that out. And I quite literally mean everything was covered besides her butt. This is so stupid. It's just obnoxious. Now, I don't care what artists do. You do you, but I seriously hate how this now set up a new nasty joke surrounding Des, as I literally see this artwork almost everywhere, especially on TikTok in the comment sections of videos about Des or the Roaring Knight. It's very obnoxious and just whatever. This kind of thing goes back to the really real issue of women being super sexualized and seen as nothing more but a love interest or a sexual object for people to get their rocks off to. Considering Des is now being degraded to just her body parts, and shows that women aren't safe from sexualization, even when they literally have yet to show up in game and don't have a definitive design yet. I don't really care if you call me sensitive over this, it doesn't make a difference to me, but I find the sexualization of very simple designs or women to be very annoying and harmful. With that being said, don't go harassing the artist or anything. Again, artists can make what they want, but I just want to point out the very annoying reality of these types of things, and also sexual jokes are just more or less annoying. I think it's also very strange that people sexualize Des' character as if Des was around right now, given Azrael's in college and both of them seem to be the same age, that means Des is roughly 18 or 19 years old, which, in all reality, why are you sexualizing a person of that age? They're not even that old. That is literally, like, just graduating high school. I think it's very weird, and I think these people just need to cut it out. I know I can't, sit here and police the internet. People will do whatever they want, but I still just... I feel like I should just point that out, because I don't think Des needs to be sexualized at the age she's at right now, as there is literally multiple adults in the game that you guys could be going for, but you choose to go for the youngest possible characters, because if they can't have, the actual high schoolers in the game, then they'll just go for Des and whatnot, because, oh, they're above the age of 18, as if that changes anything. Because, once again, that is literally a freshly graduated high schooler. I think that's still gross regardless, but whatever. I guess we can go ahead and get to the conclusion right now. All in all, I really dislike the way people perceive Des. For a character who has literally no screen time, you wouldn't expect such insane things to be spread about her, especially over simple parts of dialogue. I don't hate you if you make theories. You guys are single-handedly holding this community together, and you have fun doing it, which is the most important part. But I do think some of you need to chill out and take a step back to think about what you make theories on. And I do think with the recent newsletter Toby sent out that he's kind of sharing that same sentiment. While I do believe some theories hold merit, others tend to just fall flat on their face and just feel like projection more than anything. I still don't really understand why people are so desperate to make Des this super evil presence in the story that has done XYZ to Chris, and only Chris alone. It's strange, because no one talks about Azrael in this light. No one theorizes about him. Yet he's basically in the same spot as Des. The only difference is we know where he's at. And I feel there's a lot of discussion that could be had about Azrael and Des instead of just focusing on Des alone. Like, for example, why Azrael and Des' relationship became worse after they got older. Since that's something that's quite heavily implied given the certain dialogues in both Des and Azrael's rooms. Though, talking about all that would derail this video, so I won't get into it. I do feel there's a very weird standard that people set, that the women of Deltarune are all abusive in some way, though that's a whole nother can of worms that honestly a lot of people have talked about before. Toriel and Carol are both characters that are typically brought up in these types of discussions. They're both shunned and considered terrible, yet people refuse to see the other side of the story. But once again, that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. I do think Deltarune goes about characters in a beautiful way. There is a reality in them that not many games can achieve. Everyone in Deltarune is flawed and has some sort of issue. Not a single character is perfect by any means, and in my opinion, that's honestly perfect by itself. Well, I think I've said enough. I doubt this will truly change anything, as I am only just a voice, but I just feel better being able to express my opinion and just maybe make people see where I'm coming from, and where people who share my same sentiment also come from. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this, even if it was a bit sad. Sorry if some of the topics were a bit heavy, but that's just the community's fault. I don't know why they're like that. I personally don't know if I'll make more stuff like this, but we'll see. Depends if I have something I'm passionate about to speak about. But with that being said, I hope you have a good day, night, or maybe evening, and I'll see you guys later.